Oh, hi friends, Mrs. Rock here. I am so excited because today we are going to be making some Yayoi Kusama pumpkins. Get ready. Here are the materials you're going to need. Yayoi Kusama is a Japanese artist who is sometimes called the Princess of Polka Dots. Her art is influenced by memories of her childhood. Her parents in Japan had nurseries and grew flowers, vegetables, and pumpkins. Yayoi had a bad hallucination when she was little and thought that the flowers started talking to her. She saw the flowers as an endless field of dots. You will know her signature style by all the different colors of dots. We are going to get inspired by Yayoi Kusama's dotted pumpkin paintings and sculptures to make our own polka dotted art. You're gonna need 3 pieces of colorful construction paper. Start off by drawing kind of an egg shape in the middle of one of your pieces of paper. Make it a little oblong, a little bit more narrow up at the top and a little wider at the bottom like a pumpkin. And then on each side, create these curved lines to make the ribs of your pumpkin. Up at the top, you're going to need the stem of your pumpkin, so I make 2 curved lines and a flat top. Then, down the middle rib of your pumpkin, make a vertical line of dots. Remember to try to make your dots as circular as possible, and then fill them in with your black marker. Try to get all of those peekaboo spots. Then we're going to make another column of dots on either side of that middle column. And these might be a little bit smaller, and fill those in neatly with your marker. Now on to the next pair of ribs. Outside of that middle rib of your pumpkin, you are going to make some C shapes. That way it looks like those polka dots are kind of hiding behind that front part of your pumpkin. It's kind of an overlapping effect, so it looks like we're creating some depth to our pumpkin. And then we're going to add another column of black dots. This time they curve a little bit to follow the curve of your pumpkin. And then fill those in neatly. I'm going to fill in the rest of that rib of the pumpkin with some more C shapes to look like those dots are kind of coming off the edge of where we see those polka dots. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So whatever you do on one side, you're going to draw the same thing or similar on the other side. We're going to try to make these pumpkins look symmetrical. So here we go again. I'm going to add those C shapes to make it look like those polka dots are kind of peeking out from behind that rib of the pumpkin. And I'm going to fill the rest of the space with those black polka dots, making sure that I'm making them as circular as possible. And I'm filling them in neatly, getting all those peekaboo spots. As I draw my polka dots, I'm remembering to follow the curves of the pumpkin. That's going to really accentuate that curved form of the pumpkin. Now we're going to add a little bit of texture to the stem of our pumpkin by just adding some lines to make it look like that woody stem texture of the pumpkin stem. Now I'm going to do the same thing on my next piece of paper. I'm going to make another pumpkin. This pumpkin might be a little bit taller. I want to include a variety of pumpkin shapes. You know, not all pumpkins are the same, and sometimes they're a little squatty at the bottom. So when I make my curved lines, I'm going to curve them outward, but kind of make them a little bit wider at the bottom to make it look like maybe as that pumpkin grew, it was a little bit wider at the bottom and a little bit more narrow at the top. I'm going to add another stem up at the top of my pumpkin, and I'll go ahead and add that texture to make it look like the woody stem of my pumpkin. All right, here we go. We're gonna add those polka dots in a nice, neat column down the center of the pumpkin first. And I wanna make sure they're really circular, not so much oval, but really like a circle. And they can be a little bit smaller as I go outwards from the center of my pumpkin. And now we're gonna fill them in neatly, getting all those peekaboo spots. I'm gonna fill all the rest of the ribs of my pumpkin with those black polka dots, and they get smaller and smaller as I go outward from the center of the pumpkin. Here's my third and final pumpkin. This one's gonna be a little bit smaller. Maybe it's a little baby pumpkin. It hasn't grown very much. And I wanna start with that kind of egg shape in the middle and make those curved lines going out from the center. This one looks a little wonky, like maybe it grew a little bit crooked in the pumpkin patch. And I'm gonna give it a nice stem, add that texture by just adding some swooshes of lines. And now I can add those Yayoi Kusama black polka dots like we've been making on all of our pumpkins. And remember, we want to follow the curves of our pumpkin to accentuate those curved forms of the pumpkin. Now you can use the scissors and carefully cut out all 3 of your pumpkins. Notice I'm cutting right on the edge of that black line. I still want to see that black line. I want to have that nice bold black edge of the pumpkin, and I'm cutting just on the outside of that line. Here's my second pumpkin, and I'm going to cut along the edge of the pumpkin. Now it's time for us to think about our background. Your background could be vertical or it could be horizontal, landscape style. Either is fine. And the first thing I'm going to do is arrange my pumpkins. I'm going to think about where they look good. So I'm thinking about the composition of my artwork. Do I want them overlapping? Do I want one kind of off to the side? Do I want them to look kind of clustered in the middle or more spread out? That is for you to decide. I have positioned my pumpkins where I want them, so now I'm going to start gluing. I tip my glue bottle over, let gravity pull the glue to the tip of the glue bottle, and I draw with my glue bottle so I don't have tons of glue oozing all over the place. I'm going to slip this one under the orange one so it looks like they're overlapping. And if I just gently press down, notice I don't have a bunch of glue oozing out all over the place because I was really careful with my glue bottle and I was drawing with glue. I'm going to move on to the next 2 now and draw with my glue bottle and glue those 2 pumpkins down where I think that they look best. I really like where I've placed my pumpkins, but my background needs some more excitement. I'm going to use a white crayon, or you could use a construction paper crayon that shows really well on black paper, and I'm going to break up the background into different pieces, and I'm using zigzags and straight lines, and I'm just breaking up the background to look almost like broken glass, like shards of glass. And I'm borrowing this idea from Yayoi Kusama. She creates some really amazing backgrounds for her artwork that almost look like broken glass. I am really excited about my Yayoi Kusama inspired collage. I have created some polka dotted pumpkins just like Yayoi Kusama's. I hope you have fun too. Bye!